this is the most devastating attack on post-Cold War order since World War II. I mean, he blatantly violated international law, invaded the sovereign country without any provocation in an attempt to redraw the maps of Europe.
Bellarmine University history professor Dr. Fedja Budik has been studying the signs of Russian aggression for months, saying Ukraine is a symbol of the decline of Soviet and Russian power that he believes Putin is fighting to get back.
I don't see how he can occupy Ukraine without having a prolonged bloody slugfest. Because the Ukrainians are resisting.
Senator Mitch McConnell weighed in on how the U.S. can help Ukraine.
We need to make sure they are fully armed and able to use every available weapon that will help inflict maximum damage on the Russian forces.
Senator McConnell also says there are no plans to put any American troops on the ground in Ukraine at this point, saying that no one is suggesting that. U.S. leaders are hoping blows to the Russian economy through new sanctions imposed by multiple countries will make Putin back down. But with the 11th largest economy in the world, Russia supplies about 5% of the world's energy resources, but 30 to 40% of Europe's oil and natural gas, which could impact Americans.
I don't think that seeing things like prices of $4 a gallon for a gallon of gasoline are probably out of the question. Things like your electric and natural gas bills are likely to be higher, but also, too, thinking about supply chain disruptions.
The stabilization is already here. The question is, what's next? And what does the West do? And that's, I don't think any of us can know.
Gladys Bautista, WOKY News.
And Boris does believe Russia will not attempt to invade any NATO country.
Slick roads this morning led to traffic issues all across Louisville. Cars kept sliding on the roadways, which meant major backups as commuters tried to make it to work. Metro Public Works says it did not have a full crew working, but those on the roads were focusing on high-risk areas like bridges and uneven roads. Weather conditions this morning made it difficult to prepare.
Public Works was out putting salt down on the roads. Of course, when you have this combination of rain and sleet, it makes it difficult, but they were out doing their job. There were some accidents this morning that we're aware of. Roads are fine right now, obviously, with the temperatures going back up.
8 crews were treating roads with salt, but officials have not said when they started. A driver died this morning when his SUV went over a guardrail on the Snyder onto the grass below. The crash happened around 8 o'clock this morning. Investigators say Robert Ratliff lost control before crashing. It's not clear if the roadways were to blame.
Well, the coroner has released the names of 3 people who died inside an apartment in Louisville. LMPD found the bodies on 3rd Street Monday afternoon after receiving some complaints from neighbors. Officials say they still don't know how Barry and Larry Marcy died alongside Joshua Beach. The coroner is awaiting autopsies and toxicology reports before releasing their cause of death. Well, today jurors heard an interview with former LMPD detective Brett Hankison from days after the raid at Breonna Taylor's apartment.
He's charged with wanton endangerment for shots fired into a neighboring apartment. WLKY's Mark Vanderhoff details the latest from day 2 of the trial.
This trial is about why Brett Hankison fired the shots that he did from where he did when he couldn't see the target clearly. To get inside his mind, prosecutors played a recorded interview with the defendant himself.
I saw darkness in the apartment, but then I saw immediate illumination of fire.
Brett Hankison was among the officers serving a no-knock search warrant on Breonna Taylor's apartment the night of March 13th, 2020. After police rammed down her door, Taylor's boyfriend fired 1 shot at them, striking former Sergeant John Mattingly.
I knew where we were at was the worst place you could be, period. In my mind, I needed to get out of there as quickly as possible, so I spun out and ran directly back towards where we came from.
Hankison ran from Taylor's front door to the side of her apartment, facing these sliding glass doors.
I didn't know if John was down and they couldn't get his body out, or he was, but all I could hear was the firing, and I saw the flashes. I thought they were just being executed because I knew they were helping John.
Hankison fired 10 shots, and 3 of them entered the home of Taylor's neighbor. He is now facing 3 charges of wanton endangerment, 1 count for each neighbor home at the time.
I returned fire at the angle that I believed him to still be shooting from, because I could still see those muzzle flashes and hear it, and the fire increased.
Now, after this recording was played, one officer who responded to the scene testified that he could not see through those sliding glass doors because the curtains and blinds were pulled. And former Chief Steve Conrad testified that he saw Hankison at U of L Hospital when Hankison should have been reporting to the Public Integrity Unit. Mark Vanderhoff, WLKY News.
The trial is scheduled to resume tomorrow when jurors are supposed to visit Taylor's apartment.
Federal leaders hosted a roundtable discussion in Louisville today about local and national efforts to combat addiction and the opioid epidemic.
And we're working hard to make sure that we can address the entire system from the precursor shipments in China, meth labs and fentanyl labs in Mexico, to the supply that's made into our communities. We address that while making sure that we're allowing more treatment and making that available, reducing the barriers to people in terms of regulations, policies, as well as the cost.
In 2020, there were 49% more deadly drug overdoses in Kentucky than in 2019.
Today, a Louisville mayoral candidate laid out his plan to improve the city's economy. Pastor Tim Finley Jr. announced his economic development and equity plan. He wants to focus on making sure everyone in the city is benefiting from business growth. He also wants to consolidate planning and development leadership in the city government. Finley says the key is to show results.
Truly inclusive, equitable growth requires focused and intentional strategies that connect people and places that have been left behind to good, family-sustaining jobs and wealth-building opportunities in the regional economy.
Today's announcement was held at the Presley Post, a co-working space downtown, which focuses on giving small businesses the space they need to get started. Today, another candidate, Craig Greenberg, received endorsements from 3 major unions.
They are ready to build a safer, stronger, and healthier Louisville, and they want to be part of the solution. So what I told them is there is no time to wait. Let's get to work together.
Greenberg says he's grateful for the support after last week's attempted shooting. He says he'll be important for a lot of groups to come together to help address violent crimes.
Republican leaders in Frankfort are quickly moving forward with a bill to give Kentuckians a tax refund to help with the impacts of inflation. A Senate committee advanced a bill that would give taxpayers between $500 and $1,000 back per household. Lawmakers point to the highest inflation in 40 years as the economy recovers from the pandemic. They say it's important to take action to help families.
Certainly my preference would be that we could reduce the overall tax rate for our working Kentuckians, but I think this is the most financially responsible way to do it given the surplus we have.
And last week, Governor Beshear endorsed a proposal to cut the sales tax rate as well as freeze vehicle property taxes.
Some House Democrats want COVID bonuses for essential workers to be included in the upcoming budget. The group, along with labor leaders, presented a proposal in Frankfort today, which would put $400 million from stimulus funds in the upcoming 2-year budget. The lawmakers say those on the front lines for the past 2 years, whether it's working at grocery warehouses or driving city buses, should be rewarded with bonus pay.
The time is right. The time is now. It's time for this to be a very bipartisan movement as we move forward. It's time for us to take care of those essential workers and treat them like the heroes they are.
The General Assembly will vote on the state budget within the next 5 weeks, so Democrats say it's important to get bipartisan support now.
A group of JCPS students is behind a bill that could soon become law. Today, that group was in Frankfort urging lawmakers to support a statewide Crown Act. The bill bans discrimination on natural hairstyles. Louisville leaders passed a similar measure last year. Students say their hair is an important part of their identity and culture.
This is how people express themselves on a day-to-day basis. This is some people's only outlet. So I got to make that change and allow my fellow peers to be happy.
Louisville Democrat Attica Scott has filed the bill, but others like Louisville Republican Jason Nemes say they back the bill. Local leaders are planning to expand Juneteenth celebrations here in Louisville. Mayor Fisher signed an ordinance officially creating a 15-person commission to organize a week-long schedule of events. They'll include live music, educational programs, and highlight Black-owned businesses. Juneteenth commemorates the true ending of slavery here in the United States. Councilwoman Paula McCraney sponsored the measure. She says the events will raise awareness for a significant time in history.
It just is a reminder to all of us that Black history is American history, and we should all be happy and celebratory about that fact.
We need to know all of our history. And some of it we're ashamed of, some of it we're proud of, but what we're ashamed of, we need to learn from it and create a better Louisville and a better America.
A full schedule of events will be released closer to the holiday.
Learning life-saving techniques coming up next. See how special training is giving students a chance to learn what it takes to respond to an emergency.
Watching some heavy rainfall on the radar this evening. We are talking about even a few rumbles of thunder. Nothing severe, but the heavy rain causing some ponding on the roadways and carry that into through the evening. It's a chilly rain, too, with temperatures that are going to be in the 30s, but above freezing. So no icing concerns as we head into the overnight hours. We'll talk about a cold Friday, but improving temperatures in your 7-day forecast. That's coming up.
Right now, this is WLKY News at 6.
Welcome back. Stop the bleeding to save a life. Today, high school students learned the skills needed to keep a person alive during a medical emergency.
WLKY's Jamie Mays shows us how the techniques are encouraging students to pursue their dreams.
These South Oldham High School students are learning techniques to help someone live another day.
It's just something that it's a great feeling.
U of L Hospital's Trauma Outreach and Education Coordinator, Tracy Burchett, hosted a Stop the Bleed class Thursday.
Half turn, now go one full turn.
Students learned bystander tourniquet training as a way to control bleeding during an emergency. The skills they're learning now are encouraging the next generation of medical care workers. Students like Alexia Krask.
Pack as much as you can and then pull pressure.
She has dreams of becoming a nurse.
Sitting here, stopping the bleed and doing the trinkets and everything, it's like, I can't wait for college because then I'll finally be able to get there and do that.
Burchett says they need more young people eager to join the field.
We are at a critical nursing shortage. We know this throughout. The pandemic has made it worse for us as nurses. And so it is critical for us to be out there in the public talking to our young people.
About a third of the students participating have an interest in the medical field. Students say learning more about the job encourages them to keep pursuing the career.
I think it actually pushes me to want to be a nurse more because I want to be able to help people and get people through tough times.
Events like this bring the realities of nursing and the healthcare field to them in their space.
So no matter what profession the students choose, they're learning life-saving skills and expanding their possibilities for the future.
Being able to have more nurses and being able to help more people is just something that can make, I guess you could say, the world better.
Jamie Mace, WLKY News.
Since Stop the Bleed started in 2017, more than 1.5 million people have been trained.
Well, students at a local elementary school were given a history assignment where they literally got into character. Fifth graders at Portland Elementary were assigned one African-American figure in history to research. Then they got to dress up and be that figure for the day. The students created a wax museum in the gym where students stood still as their character until they got called upon. Then the student would bring their character to life.
When people ask how I get to where I am now,
it's important for us to teach my students where we come from and where the history starts. And when they learn about the history, they're able to go and make a difference in the future based off of what they learned here at Portland Elementary School.
Very cool concept. Now, this is the school's second year putting on this event.
It's a sign spring is almost here, along with the return of exciting festivities to Louisville. The first shipment of Kentucky Derby Festival Pegasus pens is here. They were delivered to the Evan Williams Bourbon Experience on Main Street. Festival organizers say it's a big responsibility to bring the Derby Festival back after several unusual years.
We're back. You know, it's time. We can do so safely. We can get together and really start to celebrate what the season is all about from an economic impact stance, getting back together safely, really enjoying everything that spring has to offer, especially during this season.
A special bourbon bottle was also unveiled, marking the 50th edition of the Pegasus Pens and the 67th Derby Festival. The pens will be available at retailers on Monday.
Now, your WLKY weather with meteorologist Matt Milosevic.
Typically, on a clear and dry day, we can easily see downtown Louisville on our WLKY tower camera. Not so today because we have soaking heavy rain out there, even a few rumbles of thunder at times. It's a chilly rain, too, at 39 degrees. At least the breezes are light, so we're not talking about much of an extra added wind chill, but we have picked up a few rumbles of thunder and lightning strikes on the Doppler radar with some of this heavier rainfall that has been moving on through across the metro. Boy, what a wet evening rush it has been, and it will continue to be through a good chunk of the overnight. Now, you can see on the radar, too, we get into a few hints of pink. That would indicate more of a wintry mix, but overall, I think what's happening is as we get into some of the heavier, intense downpours, that can briefly pull down a little bit of colder air and maybe get you a wet snowflake or two in a few spots in southern Indiana. But for the most part, this is a rain-making system through the course of the evening and overnight. The rain has been a little more scattered in nature to the south, especially south of the parkways, and then it gets steadier the farther north you head. Temperatures right now sitting right about freezing in Paoli, but again with a heavier rain, maybe a few flakes out there. Not so much concern with icing. Always keeping lookout on some of the bridges and overpasses similar to this morning, but so far no problems have been reported. To 40 in Campbellsville, again 39 in the metro, 36 in Elizabethtown. The impact weather from the rain will continue through the evening and end late tonight, well after midnight. We'll see amounts common in about the ½ to 1.5 inches on the higher side range, and that'll cause some ponding on the roadway, some minor flood issues. But in terms of the Ohio River, this is a look at the upper gauge. Now we're staying even below action stage. This is still going to be running about 8 feet above the normal pool, but still, overall, we're going to keep the Ohio, at least with the current forecast, below flood stage, and that is definitely good news. But Futurecast shows the soaking rain through the course of the evening and first part of the overnight. Once we get past midnight, we'll get on the back edge of this system. We'll still carry some showers through 2, 3 o'clock in the morning, but by the time we're looking towards sunrise tomorrow morning, we're going to be cloudy. We're going to be a briefly drier But we're also going to talk about some colder air, a breeze, and a chance of a few flurries off and on through your Friday. So we're going to be bundled up. We'll catch a few breaks in the clouds, I think, late day and into Friday evening, and that'll eventually get us to some sunnier skies as we move into the weekend. But the forecast through this evening, the high rain chances all the way through the midnight hour will taper that back to a few flurries and just a 20% chance into the morning as temperatures get closer to freezing. But the winds will be gusty around 10 to 20 miles per hour. So 30s will definitely be feeling like the lower 20s, and we don't budge out of the 30s tomorrow. Cloudy skies, a west and northwest breeze, and highs just 37, and again, a few flurries flying around. No troubles from those flurries, no accumulation expected, but it is going to be cold. You can see the chilly air goes all the way down to low 20s in the southern plains of Oklahoma City. And so while we're not seeing the biggest cool down from this blast of cold air out to the west, we are going to stay chilly, and the warmer air stays locked in the southeastern United States for the next couple of days. But in your 7-day forecast, we start to see some sun on Saturday. 30s go to 40s on Saturday. 50s come back at us with lots of sunshine Sunday into Monday. As we head into next week, upper 50s, low 60s Tuesday and Wednesday. A little bit of a cool down on Thursday, but at least we're still in the 50s at 53. So Stefan, Vicky, just kind of hang in there a couple more days, and we'll get to some sunshine and some nicer
Looking to the 60s and not beyond that.
Yeah, I agree.
Stop there.
Wednesday looks nice.
All right, thank you, Matt. Well, recognizing service coming up next. See how a local athlete is getting an award for her work on and off the court. That's next.